Well, welcome to the first in a collection of 6 videos about Visual Operations Manager. Visual Operations Manager is a framework-based display system for Microsoft Operations Manager. Visual Operations is a flexible system that allows you to display the health and performance of your network on cheap LCD televisions. One of the many problems we have seen with Microsoft System Operations Manager is in smaller companies, it is not always practical to be able to have someone constantly monitoring the alerts and performance reports. What Visual Operations Manager does is allow you to display the most critical components of your network along with their performance counters on LCD televisions. As you can see, the Visual Operations Manager screen is divided into 2 main areas. What we have is the permanent area, which we have here and around the bottom and around the sides of the second tabbed area. The tabbed area allows you to create a general overview of your networking infrastructure, and as we can see here from this example, we have some SANs, some VM servers, and a number of standard kind of servers you'd expect in your environment: SQL servers, file servers, Exchange servers. As we know, Microsoft Operations Manager can go into extensive details on individual components, and we can see an example here where the Exchange server has been broken into client access, mailbox, and hub transport. The idea behind the tabbed area is that you can create a general overview of your network with the most high-level components, and as we can see, we can include performance monitoring statistics on these components, such as we have a database here. We can see the database size and transaction log sizes. The idea being that when we have a particular problem with a component, we can create a more detailed view. If we double click, for instance, on our VMware server, it will open up another tab that will show us far more detail about this particular problem. And now we can see that by double clicking on the VM server, we can view in detail the components that make up a VM server, such as the networking, the iSCSI connections, and the data stores. And as we can see here, it's data store 2 with the performance statistics there of 97% full, which is being rolled up to the data stores, which effectively is being rolled up to the VM server. Along with the detailed explanation of any individual component, we can also place statistical graphs on the individual tabs. Here we can see the CPU and memory performance counters for the last 2 hours on this VM server. Now, switching between these tabs can be done using any Microsoft remote. So the idea being that you can sit looking at your LCD screen, and when you see a particular problem with a component, using the remote control, you are able to select that component, and it will also automatically open up a new tab that you have created, giving the more specific areas of your network. The idea behind this is you can create as many tabs as you like with showing different aspects of your network, and using the add-in framework, which we will talk about later, we can add almost anything to these tabbed areas. Now, along with these tabbed areas, we have permanent areas, and these remain in focus regardless of which tab has been selected. So for instance, we have here a graph that's constantly showing us the latency of our SAN. This has again been picked up from the Microsoft Operations Manager performance counters. And down the bottom here, we have the ability to display any of the alerts using any alert-based rules. Here I've split them into 2. We've got warnings on the right-hand side, and we've got critical alerts on the other. From the remote control, it's possible to bring up more details about the alerts and even close them. Whilst the software is designed for Microsoft Operations Manager, it is not just restricted to that. Using the add-in framework, you can connect to any kind of SQL data source, web pages, RSS links, or indeed even PowerShell scripts for returning statistics such as your top 20 mailbox sizes. So for instance, if we click here, we can see that this is connecting to a SQL database for the help desk software and is showing the number of calls that are outstanding. The software has been designed to run on a 40-inch or greater LCD screen, and that in turn gives you far greater real estate to play with. However, even when there's some statistics that you would like to see but don't need up all the time, we can dock these statistics together, such as here we have latency and here we have calls, and we can set the system to alternate between any number of tabs at set intervals. This gives you a greater flexibility for monitoring more parts of your network without the expense of having additional LCD screens. As I spoke about at the beginning, this is a framework-based system. Therefore, it is possible using Visual Studio to write any of your own add-ins. At the moment, out of the box, we come with a default set. These come with the alerts, data grids, connection to Exchange, visual operation graphs, data source graphs, information bars, and websites. These can simply be dragged and dropped either into a tabs area or into the permanent area and configured to connect either to Operations Manager or external data sources. The system is completely configurable. We can configure the font, we can configure the performance counters that are shown under any particular object. Here we can see the current figure, the highest figure, the smallest figure, the average figure, and the prior figure, all in one screen. This is useful for looking at trend management. So if you have a hard disk that is being used excessively in a day, we can see how much it is declining by on each day. In conclusion to this video, what we can see is Visual Operations Manager is a simple yet powerful tool to allow you to visually display the health and performance of your network in any busy IT department. In the up and coming videos, we're going to demonstrate how we can create these tab-based network diagrams, how we can create connections to SQL databases, how we manage performance counters, how we create alerts, and how we can use a Microsoft Remote Control to manage the entire software from the comfort of your seat. If you have any further questions, please visit us at visualoperationsmanager.co.uk. Thank you for watching this video.